In the first ride, a quick glance, a moment, a stranger who could just be another face in the crowd. But something made you take notice. In the second ride, it was impossible to ignore. The same car, the same driver. And there, in those seconds between hi and how are you, the certainty. This can't just be a coincidence. What more has to happen for you to realize there's something bigger at play? Now, in front of this screen, a question arises. Send a message? Hope that chance will intervene again? Pretend nothing happened. Can you really pretend? Because since that second meeting, something has been stuck in your mind, the tone of voice, the way your eyes met in the rearview mirror. The absurd feeling that a stranger was no longer so unfamiliar. How many times does a chance encounter repeat itself like this? There are no alerts, no warnings. Just a name on the app screen, a car stopping at the curb, and a series of coincidences that seem to be saying something. And now, should you stay still waiting for the next notification? Trust that if it's meant to be, destiny will make it happen again? Or take action and step out of passenger mode, take the wheel of this story? The thought drifts back to the exact moment when the car door closed for the second time. The silence stretched out. The urge to make conversation but unsure how. The doubt of whether the other person felt the same, or if it was all just an illusion created in your own mind. But then, why is this feeling still here? It's strange how some people come into your life and, in a matter of minutes, change everything. They make you question, they make you imagine what could have been, what still could be. The memory insists on replaying the details. The way the eyes quickly glanced away in the first ride, as if fearing to hold the gaze. In the second, it wasn't so easy to look away. And maybe that's where everything changed. It wasn't words, it was the silences. The way every second seemed to carry more meaning than any random conversation could hold. The weight of a gaze held for too long. The hesitation before getting out of the car, as if the body knew that this moment had something special about it, something that shouldn't end there. And now? Life continues its natural course. Other cars, other drivers, other rides. But the mind insists on returning to the same point, as if there was still something to resolve. As if the story were not yet finished. And maybe it isn't. Maybe chance has played its part. Maybe now is the time to decide. Let it go or take a risk. Accept that it was just a coincidence or understand that certain coincidences don't happen for no reason. Because in the end, the question that nags the most is this. What if this was the last chance to do something about it? What more needs to happen to understand that this isn't just a coincidence? Can you ignore it? Pretend none of this happened. Go about your routine as if there wasn't something poking at your conscience, pushing for a decision. Can you keep believing it was just a silly, meaningless fluke? The problem is that some things aren't easily forgotten. Time passes, days go on, but that moment remains stuck somewhere in the mind, insisting on showing up at the most random times, like now. The phone screen lights up. No new ride, no new notifications, no sign that chance is ready to act again. But who says you have to wait for fate to do everything on its own? What if this time is different? What if instead of waiting, you take action? What if instead of trusting that life will give you another chance, you create that chance? But how? Look for the name in the app. Go back through the ride history, risk sending a message, or simply accept that there are things that need to be left as they are. The thought keeps spinning, and along with it comes a discomfort, a regret that shouldn't even exist because technically nothing was done wrong. But perhaps that's the problem. Nothing was done. Something could have been said. A conversation could have been started. That moment could have been held for just one more minute before getting out of the car. A simple question could have been asked, anything, to break that silence laden with meaning. But now it's over. Is there still something to be done? Doubt tightens. The desire grows. But so does the fear. Fear of being ridiculous. Fear of overreacting. Fear of turning a simple coincidence into something that never truly existed. But if it were just a coincidence, why is it still here? The world has a strange way of making certain stories happen. Some start with a planned meeting. Others arise unexpectedly, without warning, without logic. And some seem to insist on repeating themselves, as if someone up there is trying to get attention. Is this one of those stories? If it is, What will the next step be? Wait for a third ride? Trust that fate will bring everything around again? Or finally step out of the role of spectator and allow oneself to truly live this story? Because one thing is certain, ignoring it is no longer an option. What happens now? Stand still, waiting for a third coincidence, or take action? The mind insists on reliving every detail. The way the eyes met in the rearview mirror for just 1 second longer. The breath held in that moment, as if something was about to happen, but no one knew exactly what. Life goes on. The app keeps running, bringing new rides, new people, new destinations. But what about that feeling? The one that keeps coming back unannounced? It's easy to ignore something fleeting, a moment of little significance. But this wasn't just a moment. If it were, I wouldn't be here right now. Maybe it's just curiosity. Maybe it's an inexplicable urge to know more, to understand what that was all about. Maybe it's just a whim of the mind, trying to give meaning to something random. But what if it isn't? What if it actually meant something? What if letting it pass is a mistake? The hesitation is still there, weighing like an invisible block, the fear of looking foolish, of overreacting, of forcing something that perhaps shouldn't be forced at all. But what's worse, regretting having tried, or spending the rest of your life wondering what might have happened if you had done something? A finger hovers over the phone screen. The ride history is right there, a name, a destination, an opportunity that hasn't been completely lost yet. The mind battles with itself. Should I send a message? What do I say? How do I explain something that's hard to explain at all? Let it go. Move on and accept that if it's meant to happen, it will happen again without needing to meddle. Or maybe this is just an excuse not to step out of my comfort zone. What if life is giving a signal, and all that needs to be done is take the next step? One movement, one risk, one decision, because some stories don't start with grand gestures. Some start like this, with a name on the screen, a question in the mind, and a choice about to be made. The doubt lingers, persistent, stubborn. The name still shines on the phone screen. One tap and everything could change. One tap and maybe the answer will appear. But what if it doesn't? The heart beats faster. It wasn't supposed to be like this. It wasn't supposed to be a simple meeting, 2 rides that would mess with the mind so much. But it did. Can I pretend it doesn't matter? Can I simply file this story away as just another insignificant coincidence? How many times does life send signals like this? The hesitation still weighs heavily. What am I afraid of? Of looking ridiculous? Of seeing meaning where there isn't any? But if it didn't exist, why am I still here, unsure, holding this phone as if the answer to something bigger is inside it? Time passes. The name is still there. Destiny is still waiting for a decision. If I send a message, what do I say? Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I think the universe is playing with us. Ridiculous? Maybe. But sincere. And sometimes sincerity is the only way out. The mind has constructed all possible scenarios. Will a response come? Will the conversation flow? Or does the silence on the other end confirm that all of this was just an illusion? But what if the response does come? What if on the other side there's also that feeling that something different happened? The only way to know is by pressing the button. My finger glides over the screen, my heart races a little faster. And then, a decision needs to be made. To send or not to send. To wait or to act. To stay in the comfort of doubt or to risk the possibility. Because one thing is certain, if nothing is done, I'll never know. My finger stops. My gaze is fixed on the screen. The world around me fades away for a moment. And then, choose. The finger is still there, hovering over the screen. My heart quickens. The name continues to shine, waiting for a decision. Send the message or give up. My mind continues to play with possibilities. If I send it, I might get a response or absolute silence. If I don't send it, this story remains unfinished, an unknown, frozen in time, never knowing what could have been. But what's worse, the regret of having tried and it not working out, or the eternal uncertainty of what could have happened. Take a deep breath. The phone feels heavier than it should. Thoughts swirl, trying to find a justification for doing nothing. Because it's easier this way. Because there's no risk in silence. But what if on the other side there's also that doubt? What if the same hesitation is happening right now, with the same indecision, the same strange feeling that this wasn't just a coincidence? The name is still there, destiny waiting for a nudge. Eyes fixed on the screen, time seems to move slower. The seconds drag on. And then, without thinking any further, without rationalizing, just feeling the urge of someone who knows they need to act before it's too late, the message is typed. The words appear without much planning, without rehearsals, just what comes in the moment. It might seem strange, but I think destiny likes to play. 2 races in a row? Was it really a coincidence? The finger hovers over the send button, the last moment to back out, to delete everything and pretend nothing happened. But no, it's gone too far to turn back now. Takes a deep breath and taps the screen. Message sent. Now, there's no more control. Now, all that's left is to wait. The phone screen lights up, but there's no immediate response. The heart races a little. The mind starts questioning again. Was it right to do this? Was it a rash decision? But now there's no turning back. Now all that's left is to see what comes next. The message has been sent. Destiny is now in the hands of the other side of the screen. Time seems to slow down. The phone is set aside, but the mind remains trapped there. The gaze returns to the screen every few seconds, as if suddenly the answer will appear. Nothing. Breath caught, heart beating a little faster. What if they don't respond? What if the message simply disappears into the void, ignored? The mind starts to create scenarios. Maybe it seemed too strange, maybe it was a mistake, maybe it would have been better to do nothing. The phone vibrates. The whole body reacts before the eyes can confirm. A response. The heart races. Fingers hesitate before tapping the screen. Coincidence? Or is the universe trying to say something? A simple reply, but enough to make the chest tighten in a way it shouldn't. What does this mean? Real interest or just a polite response? The tables have turned. Now the decision is in their hands. Should I respond? Keep the conversation going? My mind wants to analyze every word, find a hidden meaning, but my instinct says not to overthink it. So, my fingers type. If it's the universe talking, I think it was pretty clear. The question is, what do we do with that? Send. Now it's a waiting game again, but this time the silence doesn't feel so heavy. This time there's something new in the air, an expectation, a sense that this story is just beginning. The phone rests in my hand, the screen lit up, the name shining there. The message has been sent. Now, the waiting starts anew. My heart still races. It shouldn't feel this way. A simple chance encounter wasn't meant to carry this weight, yet it does. The answer hangs in the air, hovering like something inevitable. Seconds drag on. The world around me feels distant. Every time the screen lights up, I jump, but still nothing. And then, finally, the phone vibrates. A new message. I think we find out the only way possible. An open-ended sentence, a veiled challenge, a door slightly ajar, waiting for a step forward. What does that mean? The only way to know is to keep going. My fingers glide over the keyboard now with less hesitation. Then let's find out. Coffee tomorrow? A straightforward response. No beating around the bush. No masking the intention behind vague excuses. The message is sent before my mind can try to rationalize. My heart races again. My eyes are glued to the screen, waiting. Seconds, minutes, until the phone vibrates, bringing the response, "Tomorrow, 6 p.m., send me the place." And just like that, everything changes. The doubt fades away. Chance transforms into something tangible. Fate has crossed our paths twice. Now the decision to move forward is in our own hands. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Is it the beginning of something? There's only one way to find out. Fate has done its part, but now it's no longer about chance. It's about choice. The meeting is set. The game has changed. There's no more room for doubts or hesitations. Now it's real. Now it's the chance to understand if those 2 races were merely coincidences or the first chapter of something much bigger. The heart races with anticipation. What will happen? What will the moment be like when their gazes meet without a rear-view mirror between them? No rush. No hasty goodbye at the end of the race. The only certainty is that it can't be predicted. It can only be lived. And you? Have you ever had a moment like that, where fate seemed to insist, where life pushed in the same direction more than once? Share your thoughts in the comments. What would you do in this story's place? Does fate really give signs, or is it all just chance? If you enjoyed this content, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave a like for more stories like this. Who knows, the next sign from the universe might come through a simple click.